Hello, this is Sheila with the Grateful Goddess, and with me today is Sarah Amos. She is the Resonator with Braveheart Women organization. So let's start with what Braveheart Women is all about.
Well, I guess one way you could sum it up is Braveheart Women is a global community of encouraging women to really step into their own excellence, shine, and honor other women as they do the same thing. So in that case, it's being more, creating more, and collaborating more.
Excellent. I love the quote from Deepak Chopra. Do you happen to know that one off the top of your head?
It was the Dalai Lama, and
Oh.
that's okay. And that was the one that if the world is to be saved, it will be up to the Western woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so how is Braveheart Women taking that one step further in helping the Western woman save the world?
Well, you know, I really think that we're starting with women ourselves, learning to create a harmony within ourselves, creating a harmony between the masculine and the feminine energies, and then also, you know, sharing that with other women. And then we do have a global project that includes the Palestinian and Israeli women in Jerusalem that on July 5th, they'll be doing the Oxytocin circles, the same thing that we're doing here. And here in the United States and Canada, and so they'll be doing the same thing there.
Great. So let's tell them a little bit more about the Oxytocin circles.
Well, the Oxytocin circles consist of, there's three parts to Oxytocin circles. One's about the oxytocin breath, so that rather than being an adrenaline, wherein we learn how to tap into oxytocin, a natural hormone in the body. And so that's one part of the oxytocin circle. The second is the Braveheart hug, which increases oxytocin as well, which is a heart-to-heart hug. And then we do a soul-to-soul connection with a circle. Yeah.
Yes. You mentioned that it's instead of the adrenaline, which is more in the chest breathing, but taking it all the way down to the abdomen and extending so that it's a deep, full breath, which helps women be more grounded. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And also too, not just grounded, because there's a lot of times, you know, throughout the day we become ungrounded and we do need to reground, but also too with oxytocin, that's releasing a hormone in the body that causes you to be in more ease. It's just everything that you can think of that adrenaline is, oxytocin is the opposite of. So if it's frenzied, this is calm. You know, if it's hectic, this is calm, you know?
Right,
So, yeah.
right.
Yeah, so did you want me to demonstrate the oxytocin breath?
I think that'd be
Okay.
great.
All right, good. All right, then. So the oxytocin breath is where it's you more allow the oxytocin breath, not take the oxytocin breath, because taking a breath is also a little adrenalized. So as you allow an oxytocin breath, what you'll do is fill the belly, and then you'll release with an audible ha, H-A, ha, with a small smile. And that stimulates the vagus nerve, which causes the brain to send the chemical of oxytocin through your body. So it's filling the belly. Small smile is sufficient, but it's hard for me to small smile.
And then before we got started today, I was saying that I'm kind of frazzled and running around. So you gave me an excellent tip that when you're doing the oxytocin breath, it's great to do that from a place of pleasure. But if you're feeling as if you're a little stressed or overwhelmed, to do it with a sigh of surrender. So let's do the two different breaths so that they can see the
All right, so we'll do that. Fill the belly. And that's pleasure. And then surrender, it's really kind of hard to describe. It's better to actually do it. You feel the surrender in the sigh. So fill the belly. It's a releasing, a letting go of. It's not just pleasure. And so, you know, when you feel an overwhelm, the surrender is the best thing to do if you've already taken steps to do the things you need to do. If you're holding back on taking steps, then you would do the same thing with more courage instead.
Yeah.
So
So how did you get involved?
I was an online member. You at braveheartwomen.com you can become a free member online. So I was at first a free member online, and then I had heard that they had a program called Release. It's the female success model of releasing cellular memory, and the whole year unproductive cellular memory. The whole year before that, I had studied Bruce Lipton's work and other modalities of releasing cellular memory, and I pretty much figured this is the key. This is the key. Because I've known too many people, myself included, who have, read all the books, been to all the workshops, practiced the mind control, practiced the positive affirmations, changing your attitude, and still, some things still just seem to be blocks. So when I found out that Braveheart Women did a release program too, I was all on board to do that, because it was 4 days, let's get in there and get it done and go home. And that's what I did, and I will tell you that it's remarkable. It's what I call, it's the gift that keeps on giving, because when you release a cellular memory block about one thing, you don't know that there's about 5 other things that have been attached to that you didn't even realize it, and now they're gone. And you don't even come home and go, I've released all these things. You come home and you feel really good, and then the next time something that would normally have been triggered comes up, you're just like, what happened to it? It's gone.
Right.
So, of course, that was very, very powerful. But the sisterhood, I tell you, I would have, even if I hadn't released, the unproductive cellular memory, for the sisterhood, for the camaraderie, the community, I would have done it for that.
What is your vision for Braveheart Women in Tucson?
Well, just to kind of back up a little bit, when I went to Rise, an event that Braveheart Women have in LA in November, I went to Rise in 2010, and when we did the Oxytocin Circle, there were 11 Israeli women and 11 Palestinian women, and what I experienced was so visceral, not just thinking, positive thoughts. It was such a visceral feeling. I really had determined for myself at that moment that I will do everything I can to bring this to my town. And so a whole year and a half later, we did. We had our launch party. We brought this to Tucson, and really went to my town. I wanted the women I knew and women I'd never met yet to experience that real visceral connection with other women, that total acceptance of yourself and other women. And so we launched that community, this month. And what we're going to do going forward is really teaching women to actually retrain the hypothalamus. Okay, so there's a lot of things that have been passed down to us generation after generation, not just what we learned from our parents that put an imprint on our hypothalamus, but things that generation after generation after generation. And part of what we're about is to retrain that. And we can retrain that. And the same thing as part of what generations and generations have imprinted on our hypothalamus, we can do a new imprint that will then future generations will have a new imprint. And that's part of all about the divine feminine energy, and really understanding what it is, understanding our default patterns, and when we get into the distorted feminine and the distorted masculine energies. And when we talk about distorted masculine energies, we're not talking about men. We're talking about the distorted masculine energies within ourselves. To learn to see what our default patterns are, how to move out of our default patterns and move into really the essence of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And that's one of the things that we're doing with our Resonate meetings, which we'll meet once a month. And then we'll always have the free Oxytocin circles all around town.
Speaking of, the divine feminine energy within us is really that state of receiving. And I like what you had to say about what your daughter said to you in terms of your level of receiving.
My daughters became grown that I knew that I needed to start receiving. Yes, I kind of heard some buzzwords about receiving, but that's all they really were. So when I started recognizing that I needed to be in a more of a place of receiving, it was a mental thing to me. It was not a visceral thing for me. And I was thinking of all the ways that I could receive.
Right.
And even when I would see any kind of energy healers or anything like that, they would tell me, you need to open yourself to more receiving. And one time I said to my daughter, how can I receive any more? I'm completely, trying to find all the ways to receive on a regular basis. And she just said, Mom, you just hit on it. You think there's a cap to how much you can receive. You think there's a limit.
Right.
And that was one of the things that also opened me up to realizing that it's not a mental exercise. Receiving is a visceral experience.
Right.
And the more we receive, and we actually, the first and only place that you can really receive is just from yourself. You give to yourself and give to yourself and give to yourself and fill your cup up. And then when you give to others, you come from overflow. So there's no guilt, there's no burden about it.
Right. I love that. And another thing that I love is how you always end each circle with dancing. And so I have my own theories on why you do that, but do you have a particular reason why you end with dancing?
Well, actually, it's probably multiple facets to this, but two of the things for sure is when we've experienced something visceral, to move the body, integrates it more. Mm-hmm. So, it kind of grounds what we just went through. And then also too, when you do if you do a soul-to-soul connecting, anything can come up for you. So just the movement is just moving the energy with the body.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Well, that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking. I would have added to it that, for me, I talk about, like with the abundance movement, that when you move your body, you're raising your vibration.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, there's all the research in terms of a smile and how a smile can elevate your mood. And to me, dancing is like the exponential factor of that, because to me, moving your hips is like a great big smile.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. So,
I love what we're doing here in town. I love that it is really a sacred audience that this is being gifted to. And the presence of the women that are resonating with this is the gift. It just goes, it's a circle. And I love what we're doing with it here locally, and I love what's happening over in Jerusalem. That is just, I really aligned myself first with the global project, and knowing full well the global project can't stand alone. The grassroots movement of this women collaborating in a feminine way that's based on the hormone oxytocin. It's so powerful. So powerful. And it's more powerful than some people realize. Yeah, I've got a lot of testimonials of people who know how powerful it is in just days. And there's some people that are not really, seriously, breathing a certain way is not going to change my life. You know what? Yes, it will.
Yes.
Yes, it will.
So give us one example of a great testimonial.
Well, one of them is a lady who works with autistic children. And no, she does not get them to oxy breathe, but when she sits on the floor and oxy breathes with them, they actually will look into her eyes. Yeah, so there's one. Yeah. And say another lady who at work, she oxy breathes. She's in sales. Before she makes every phone call, she oxy breathes every now and then during the call.
Yeah.
And her sales went up exponentially.
Oh, that is so great.
And somebody who they had started the oxy breathing just days ahead. Their husband, who's a big adrenaline kind of guy, they had their pet had a medical situation. He pretty much fell apart. All she did was just oxy breathe around him, and he was able to just really pull himself together very quickly and make a decision that needed to be made. So those are just some of them.
And it makes so much sense. I mean, they always talk about when you meditate and provide peace within yourself, you are benefiting everybody around you. So
the collective field is affected by it.
Oh, we could talk forever. So thank you, Sarah. Oops, I almost